Welcome to the Cohn Zone. That's Lowell Cohn. I'm Grant Cohn. Today we're talking two sports in the Cohn Zone, a dueling sport day, basketball and football. But of course, we're going to go football first because it's a football show. Dad, you look great. How are you?
I'm batting 1,000, Iggy. How are you?
I'm doing better than Draymond Green. We're going to talk a little bit later about whether or not he's a schmuck, what a schmuck is, and the nature of schmuckiness.
Yeah.
Schmuckiness, absolutely. But first, we got to talk about lemonade stands and Brock Purdy. Let's talk with Brock Purdy first. He did an interview. I don't know if he meant to say what he said or if he let it slip, but he said for the first time that he's not really sure, honestly, if he's going to play next year. How do you interpret that?
Well, first of all, it's a fascinating thing for him to say. He's not sure if he's going to play next season. What we got from Lynch is he'll be ready for the first game. What we got from Shanahan, he'll be ready by the fourth game. And we got from the player is, I'm not so sure. So you want to feel that an organization, they're all on the same page. Those are three different pages. So it means there's a lack of mutual understanding at the very least. But there also may be a power play going on. It's this again, I'm an outsider, but I've been through this a lot. It could be that they're saying to him, we want you ready for the beginning of the season. And he says, okay, hold on. I want to talk to my family and my agent. And they may be telling him, what's in it for you to come back so soon if you're not ready? Will it help you? Will it even help the team? Why don't you be more forthright and say, let's put our foot on the brake. I'm not ready. And whatever the Niners said, screw them. Screw them. It's my life, my career, my elbow. What do you think about that, Iggy?
I do. I think it's a screw you to the 49ers, unless the Niners and him are secretly on the same page and the Niners are just misleading their fans because they don't want people to know that they're going to draft a quarterback in a couple of weeks. Barring that, I do think they're on different pages, and Kyle Shanahan always pressures his quarterbacks to come back as quickly as possible. He did it to RG3. He did it a lot to Jimmy Garoppolo. I could see him doing it to Brock Purdy, and if Brock Purdy pushes back, then what would Kyle do? He would suddenly say, well, in that case, I like Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's just as good as you, if not better. And all of a sudden, we're hearing all these national reporters out of nowhere have the same bright idea that Sam Darnold might start week one and be really good. So I can see Kyle Shanahan trying to use that against him. But from Brock's perspective, he's shown he can play at a high level in the NFL. Sam Darnold hasn't. Brock has value, and now he has to protect it.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. If there is a schism in the organization between the organization and the quarterback, whose side are you on?
Brock's.
Me too. Not even close. I'm on his side. I don't like the impression that the Niners are pushing him into a situation where he could compromise his career. If that's what they're doing, and it seems that he's implying that, I think it sucks.
Yeah. And what's crazy is it's not in his best interest, but it's not in their best interest either. Because if he's as special as they say he is, then he's the future, and you want to preserve the future. You don't want to jeopardize that for some games in September, October. You don't want to do that at all. And that seems but it makes me wonder, do they really think he's special? Or does Kyle Shanahan think, dude, you're not that special. The quarterback position isn't that important. I'm what's important, and I can make Sam Darnold be the next you. So why don't you get your ass back here?
Well, if that's really how Shanahan thinks, then he's foolish. Because here's the thing. He could be jeopardizing a valuable player. Also, the people in the locker room see it. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about us.
No.
We're not people. We're products. They don't care about us. Yeah. And don't you think use check notices and CMC notices, they're probably on the player's side, not management side.
Well, remember, there's two different class of players on this team. There's a caste system on this team. There are the guys who've gotten their second contracts, who make a lot of money and get to go to Cabo with the coach in the offseason. And then there are guys who haven't gotten paid yet and are expected to play through every freaking injury and get on the field as soon as possible because they're essentially replaceable. And that's what Brock Purdy's in. He hasn't reached the Cabo status yet. And so until he does, the attitude is, hey, man, I made you. I can make someone else. Get your ass on the field. And that's why I think we're hearing all this Sam Darnold baloney.
It's baloney.
Darnold. Yeah.
Iggy, what is the Cabo level? What do you get? You get to socialize with the coach in Cabo?
Yeah, that's it. And I guess if you socialize with the coach and he thinks he's your friend, maybe you get more playing time. More money.
I see.
You get more money. That's what you want.
And at Cabo, they're drinking beer?
Yeah, I would think, but I mean, they're athletes, right? So it's probably like light beer, and it's only like 2 or 3 because they can't really put on poundage. They're all on diets. They probably have to listen to Kyle's jokes and laugh and throw a football with them, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Did I lose you?
Throw a football and pretend. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think he'd ever invite you to Cabo?
No, I think we should crash it. Me and you. Let's go next time. Just, there's no rule against it. Let's probably figure out where they're staying. We'll stay there. We'll just do everything they're doing. Oh, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. So you're saying if Kyle Shanahan rushes Brock Purdy back, it would be kind of a schmucky thing to do. Is that what you're saying?
That's going to be the key. The key word.
Yeah, the Pee Wee Herman
show.
word of the day.
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman. Yes, it would be a schmucky thing to do, and it would be grossly incompetent.
Right. It's in no one's interest. It's not in Brock's interest. It's not in the organization's interest. This is a golden opportunity to get him right and to see what you have in Trey Lance and then move forward with 2 good quarterbacks as opposed to none.
And to see what you have in Sam Darnold and to see what you have in the UCLA quarterback if they take him
too. Get him. Sure.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
No,
for Brock.
One other thing.
Yeah.
The fact that we're even discussing this shows yet again that the 49ers can manage their roster very well except at quarterback.
Yes.
It's always a mess. There's always a big question mark over that room of quarterbacks because Kyle, who seems to be a rational person, is irrational, loses his nut when it comes to quarterbacks.
And he's rash. He makes rash decisions. Like, all of a sudden, if Brock Purdy doesn't come back right away from this, that he's going to turn his attention to Sam Darnold. Like, he's already given up on Trey Lance because he got hurt after 4 starts. Like, you're dead to me. I don't want to look at you anymore. Now it's Brock. But if Brock doesn't come back after this injury, like, miraculously, then he's dead to him, and it's on to Sam Darnold. It's like, don't you see? It's almost like breaking up with girls for the most trivial reasons. Like in Seinfeld, when he broke up with the girl because she had man hands. Like, that's Kyle. It's man hands. Like, what do you mean? That's not a good reason. But that's Kyle.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, that's what Brock Purdy said. Parag Marathe said something interesting. He got promoted to owner of a soccer team because he's just so good at what he does. And he was interviewed, and he was, patting himself on the back on the way out of town and was explaining that, he's done this before. They turned a lemonade stand into a sophisticated business operation once before. He could do it again, meaning that Joe Montana, Bill Walsh, Eddie DeBartolo, and Carmen Policy in 5 rings, we're a mere lemonade stand compared to what the Niners are doing now. What do you think of that?
I tell you, I'm feeling pretty good today, but it makes me want to puke. It makes me want to puke. Look, I know Parag Marathe very well. He's can be a very charming guy. He's very bright. I think inside there's a sort of a ruthlessness to him. The idea that he's running a soccer club, he doesn't probably know jack about soccer. And my guess is, again, I could be wrong, he's going to still be fully involved with the Niners and he'll be a figurehead with the soccer team. Okay? Yeah. So let's get that out of the way first.
Yeah.
Although, if he were to leave Santa Clara, I wouldn't care. It wouldn't change my life. Would it change your life?
No, to me, he's had way too much power for the last 23 years, and maybe this is finally Kyle Shanahan being like, you know what, we don't need him anymore. Can you go, please, take your talents to England? Please, show him how it's done.
Go to
We're
England.
Good over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the lemonade stand.
Yes.
By the way, when you put it up and you had that visual of Jed and Parag, and you were over, I don't know where you got the house
Joshua
Knudsen,
who watches the show all the time, made that. Shout out to Joshua. That was great.
Thank you, Joshua. It killed me. I loved it.
Killed me. Yeah.
So, okay. Well, let's be clear. He wasn't saying they're a better team, because that would be insane, than the good teams. But he was saying they have a better business organization because of him. Mm-hmm. My mother used to say, self-praise is no recommendation. Lowly, because I used to brag about shit. Lowly. self-praise is no recommendation. He shouldn't be praising himself. That's for other people to do. Now, he says what they had was a lemonade stand. Okay, they made a lot of money. They won 5 championships, and he's putting business organization over winning championships. If I were a fan, I wouldn't give a shit if they had a good business operation. Did you win? When was the last time you won a Super Bowl? You don't always say, the Niners haven't won anything since 1995, but you know what? They have a really good business organization. I'm so proud of them. Do you care that they have a good business organization?
No, absolutely not. And also, first of all, I don't care. Second of all, I disagree with his premise to begin with. He's acting like he walked into the Arizona Cardinals, a team with no fan base, no brand, no history, no winning, and turned them into the Dallas Cowboys. Nah, man, the reason people wear Niners jerseys and show up to Niner games on the road is because of all that winning they did when they were a lemonade stand, not because of anything you did. You were profiting off a brand that was made in the 80s. It's like when people drive Toyotas. There's brand loyalty there that preceded him. They profit from. That's it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out if the old guys were a lemonade stand, what are these guys? Are they a diner?
They're also a lemonade stand, but it's like way more expensive, and the lemonade isn't as good.
That's right. There's still a lemonade stand.
Yeah, it used to be the most famous lemonade stand in America. It revolutionized lemonade stands. It won every Lemonade Stand of the Year award for 15 years in a row. Then these guys got it, jacked up the prices, changed the ingredients, and made it crap. And they're still trying to profit off of the name it had 30 years ago.
Yeah, these guys, it's like they're using frozen lemonade.
Yep.
Right?
That's exactly what it is.
Charging higher prices.
And they're like, well, we're making more profit than they did before. Yeah, because you're ripping off your customers.
Hey, listen, I got to tell you, I knew Bill Walsh pretty well. And if I said, I could contact him and say, Parag just said when you guys ran it, it was a lemonade stand. Bill Walsh would say, fuck Parag. That's what he would say. Bill Walsh didn't like people to know he cursed he was a football coach. He cursed all the time. He used the F word in just about every other sentence.
Yeah.
Where's the fucking quarterback? Where's the fucking coach? Where's the fucking running back? He used to say, I heard him. And he would say, fuck Parag. And one other thing about Parag, and you were a witness to this. After games, we'd go at home. When Iggy and I worked together, we would go from the locker room, we'd walk over to the elevator to go back up to the press box and do our work, right? I'd write my column, he'd write a gamer and all that. So inevitably, Parag was walking toward us. I've known Parag for decades. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, he'd whip out his cell phone and Iggy, am I making this up? And he'd put it to his ear to simulate talking so he wouldn't have to say hello to me. And it used to make us laugh. Now, if he had any brains, except for, this making a better lemonade stand, he would do what a good manager would do. Not take out a cell phone, say, hi, Lowell, hi, Grant, it's nice to see you. Right. How you doing? It doesn't take any effort, and it makes you feel good about him. It makes you feel good about... And it makes us feel
bad if we dump on him. But now we can just go ahead with a green light because he looked at his cell phone the whole time.
Exactly. So I'm quite happy to shove it up his tush about about the lemonade stand because of what he did more than once with the cell phone.
Yeah. Scotty's saying it's like Subway charging $12 for a footlong. I could see that, considering those footlongs are barely edible. I think the Niners are better than a Subway sandwich. They did get to the NFC Championship game the last 2 years, but boy, I don't know. I don't know. Go ahead.
Iggy, I just don't like an arrogant prick.
Yeah. I don't like it. An arrogant prick. Yeah, and it's like that to me has been the attitude of the Yorks for 20 years, and it's why I really don't like that attitude, and I feel like it's the culture of the team. Like, hey, we don't get enough credit. We don't get enough credit. We're better than the organization we inherited. Like, sure, we haven't won a Super Bowl, but that's fluky. Look at all the great things we've done. Like, the stadium you built isn't even that nice. You're already trying to borrow $120 million from the league to renovate it so you can get another Super Bowl because it's the worst new stadium on the West Coast. And you left San Francisco so that the Warriors could slide in and take the spot you should have had. How bad are you? And you still haven't won shit.
Now, I want to say in the Niners organization, I'm trying to think of who has the right amount of being polite, political, but polite. Jed on and off. But, Jed's a bit of a nerd. So he's not really that. You think that's giving him too much credit?
Nah, it's right on the money. He called him a nerd. It just hurt because I could hear Jed. I could picture Jed hearing you say that and him wincing because he is a nerd. Sorry, Jed. You're a nerd.
Oh, okay. I want to tell you who's good in that organization. Al Guido.
Sure. Everything he does that. Yes.
Yeah, Al Guido. He's their president. I don't know what Al Guido does. He's an Italian guy from South Jersey. I went to college not far from South Jersey. He would come out to practice, even if I wrote the worst things about the Niners. Lowell, it's so great to see you. When have you been back to college? Do you remember this disc jockey from our area, which was Jerry Blavitt? Do you remember Jerry Blavitt? And Al Guido is, even if he doesn't like you,
right,
he doesn't let that get in the way because he's representing the organization. Okay?
John Lynch is also that way.
Yes, he is. John Lynch is a mensch. John Lynch is a mensch. He's a good guy. And Kyle and Parag need to go to John Lynch and Al Guido classes.
Yeah, because I understand Parag and Kyle think a lot of themselves, and they're very accomplished, and they can be arrogant in private, but publicly you probably shouldn't express that kind of stuff. It just makes you look bad.
I think so. I do.
It does. Yeah.
And you know what? What I always felt about Parag, there's that cliche, he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. Is he? I mean, is he? If you think that, you're kind of vulnerable. I mean, there are some very smart people, first of all, in the organization. Adam Peters is a very smart guy. John Lynch graduated from Stanford. He's a pretty smart guy. And in the press room, you're a pretty smart guy. Manny Mayoko's a pretty smart guy. Annie Killian is a pretty smart woman. That kind of arrogance makes me laugh.
Yeah, me too. Boy, so I'm really looking to see how much money Leeds United makes over there because I don't know shit about English soccer, but I'm guessing that Leeds United isn't exactly the San Francisco 49ers. I'm guessing, I don't know. I'm guessing they don't have a bunch of championships and he's like trying to profit off of something that's been there a while. Like Manchester United, I've heard of them. There are certain teams I've heard of. This isn't one of them. So essentially he's got like the Jacksonville Jaguars of English Premier League. Okay, buddy, let's see you turn them from a lemonade stand. I think it's fair to call Leeds United a lemonade stand. So let's see what he does.
Right, he's going to a lemonade stand. Mm-hmm. He's been banished to a lemonade stand.
Yeah.
And he's the one who established the terminology.
Yeah. Yeah. So if the lemonade stand was the one in the 80s and 90s, what they got now is like a chain lemonade restaurant that is a clip joint and charges too much money.
Yeah. Now, again, if I were Parag and if I were Parag, I would have a sense of humor and I would be sophisticated. You know what I would do? I would send lemonade to you and to me.
Yeah,
it would be a charming thing to do, and it would say, "I get the joke. Let's move on." Yep. What do you think the chances are we're going to get lemonade from him?
-30.
I would send the lemonade.
Of course,
best wishes, Parag. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because it's two things. It's, hey man, it's not that serious. Let's be cool, and also, fuck you. It's both of them at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
And you got to respect it. You got to respect it. Yeah.
In fact, I would love it.
You love it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Drewber89 says, instead of putting change in a jar, they upgraded to a cash register and a guy flipping a sign on the corner promoting the stand. Yeah, that's exactly what they did.
I love the guy on the corner. I love the guy in the corner.
Dan says, Grant, next time you talk to Kyle, can you ask him to identify a specific area of improvement as a head coach he's working on? Keep up the great work, QC. My dad and I appreciate you both. Dan, if I asked him that question, do you understand how pissed he would be? I love that when Kyle gets red in the face because you ask him a question he doesn't want to answer. I like that, though. I will ask him that. One area.
Okay, I know. Wait. We're going to improve the lemonade.
Yeah, the lemonade. Yeah, we got to get better lemons here. Tony says, Jed is a nerd with a T. We want Eddie back. Love the show. He's a nerd with a T. I don't know. But I like that. Okay, we got more to talk about. So the thing that's interesting about the Niners, looked at a certain way, they're a very successful organization. They've been to the NFC Championship game 3 of the last 4 years. They've been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 10 years. They just haven't won that Super Bowl. And the question is, who is a bigger impediment to that ultimate goal right now? Is it Kyle or is it Jed, in your opinion?
Oh, I feel definite about this, and we may disagree. Kyle. You want Kyle?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me say, I'm not in there, but it strikes me that Jed is generous with his team, that he spends money on contracts. And in fact, he may earlier on when he was a young guy been intrusive. I think he's intrusive with Santa Clara politics, and maybe not for the good. But in terms of the team, I think he's a good owner and leaves them alone. I think the screw-ups on the 49ers are a bullseye on Kyle's chest, and starting with quarterbacks. You can't say it enough how screwed up he is, how they would have won Super Bowls if he already, more than one, if he knew how to do quarterback. Well, what do you think between Jed and Kyle?
You're making a really good case. I can't disagree with anything you said, but let me just say the things, how Jed contributes here. I feel like Kyle has higher standards than Jed. I think Kyle doesn't want. He needs to be a champion, and I think it kills him that he's flopped in so many times. I don't think Jed has that kind of drive. I think he just wants to control the narrative, have people give him credit, be in the mix, and make money. I mean, the whole lemonade stand thing, I bet he feels the same way as Parag. I just think he's a little bit more complacent and insecure, whereas Kyle Shanahan, I don't think he cares what anyone says about him. He thinks he's doing it the right way. But I'm with you. I mean, the whole quarterback thing is his problem. The deal is, if Jed became like Eddie and fired Kyle, like he should, like you said he should, he's still Jed, though. And then he has to hire the next guy, and he's not going to do a good job with that.
I agree with you. I agree that the problem. I would have fired Kyle, but the problem is Jed makes the hires, and so he's his own worst enemy. But I want to rephrase it. Aside from that issue, currently today, Jed is a better owner than Kyle is a coach.
It's interesting. Kyle's issue with the quarterback is such a deal breaker. I don't see how you can get around that. But then at the same time, I feel like Kyle has such higher standards for and goals than Jed, which is interesting. I feel like Jed is insecure and is just happy to be praised. And right now, like there's no push from him to get over the hump. He's cool right now where they're at, and that's a big problem.
I agree.
Yeah.
I would like to push back a little on that. Kyle has high standard and goals. I agree he does, but he doesn't know how to reach them, and I don't think he ever will.
That's true. So who cares about his standards and goals?
Yeah, who cares? Yeah. I got standards too. I'd like to be 7 feet tall. I'm 5'7.5". You know what I mean? I got standards.
Yeah, don't take away that half inch. It's an important half inch. I'm 6 foot and 1/2 inch, which is a mouthful, so I just say 6'1", and I think you should be able to say 5'8".
Really? Up it to 5'8"? Because that's a lie. 5'8's a lie.
I learned in math that you round up.
So and you want to know something, Iggy? I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
As you get older, I think your spine settles a little. Yeah, shrunk. So I may not even be 5'7" anymore. I'm Avance. I'm a little Avance is a.
What's Avance? I know what Avance is, but you have to define every Yiddish word you use today because that's the theme of the show. We're going Yiddish.
I think Avance is a bed bug.
A bed bug.
I'm a little Vance. That's what my mother used to say. Say, you little Vance, when I pissed her off. A bed bug.
He used to call Barry Bonds Barry Bonds, which no one
Barry
would get,
Bonds,
but he
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Ramelia Sports Report says at owners' meetings, Rams owner Stan Kroenke and Jerry Jones sit main table and make the Yorks sit in the back with the Spanoses. LOL. Yeah, I just feel like Jed York is a children's table kind of guy. If he were, if all the owners in the NFL were sitting, he would have to be at the children's table. Jed, no matter how much money he's willing to spend, he can't pay his way to the grown-up table. He can't. You know why?
Could we do
why? Because his suit doesn't quite fit him, and he's got a little bit of ketchup on his tie.
Okay, let's talk about the children's table and the adult table just for a moment. Let's say it's Thanksgiving. Okay. Is Kyle at the adult table?
No.
Jed is not at the adult. Parag.
No, he's in England.
John Lynch.
Yes.
Absolutely. He's a Hall of Famer. He's at the adult table.
Yes.
And then probably we would. Okay. Is Jimmy Garoppolo at the adult table?
No, he's in Vegas. No, absolutely not.
He's with the Davis family in Vegas.
Yeah, he's
right?
with the Davises doing whatever. What would they be doing? They'd be at P.F. Chang's in Vegas.
P.F. Chang's.
Yeah.
Okay. Do the Niners currently have any quarterback at the adult table?
No, absolutely not. No. Their quarterbacks are learning how to eat with their hands right now at this point.
They're learning what a fork is for.
They're learning what a fork is, yes. Yeah.
Is McCaffrey at the adult table?
Yeah, I would have to say so. He's only been in the house for like 10 minutes, but yeah, I'd have to say so.
Yeah. How about Fred Warner?
Yes.
I think if that team, he may sit at the head of the
I would agree.
Adult.
He sits
right?
at one end and Kittle sits at the other end, right? You got the
I don't want Kittle at no. Kittle, I'm not sure I even want him at the adult table. I'm sorry. I don't like his attitude.
He talks too much.
No.
To sit at the adult table.
He talks too much, and it's all about him.
True.
So no. He gets to sit in the middle. If we let him in, he sits at the middle of the table. No.
Yeah.
I would say
Trent Williams at the adult table.
Trent Williams at the other end. He has at one end. Yeah. Trent Williams.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. I like that. That's about it though. They got it. They got to win. They need some hardware to get to the because there's some serious heavy hitters at the adult table for the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, again, this is not the Detroit Lions or the Arizona Cardinals. We're not talking about the Arizona freaking Cardinals over here. All right, should we talk a little Warriors?
Okay. Now, I want to just preface this by saying I noticed that when we talk about Warriors, we don't have as many viewers as Niners because you guys are Niners football fans. I understand that. But it's kind of exciting that the Warriors are in the playoffs. And things happened last night that were very interesting. So
it's also kind of exciting that the Kings are in the playoffs. It's been since I was in middle school, and they're a very fun team to watch, this team, with Mike Brown coaching them.
You know, Iggy, I'm glad you mentioned that. I don't root. So I would have to say I really enjoyed the Kings last night. I don't know Mike Brown, but I know people who know him, and he has a wonderful reputation. And boy, did he have his team ready in Sacramento. So what do we want to say?
Well, let's start off with, the Kings are up 2-0. The Warriors now have to win 4 of the next 5 to advance. Are they screwed, or is this series far from over?
Far from over.
Yeah.
Far from over. Let me give a few reasons. The Warriors have some issues. They have a crummy bench, and Sacramento has a much more explosive bench.
Yes.
And that's a big deal. Having said that, this is a championship outfit. These are people who the Niners, the Warriors didn't go home last night and say, "Oh, we're screwed. My feelings are hurt." None of that. Their attitude is, "We're going to come here and kick your ass." Believe me, Kerr is feeling that. Curry is feeling that. And I think it may be a different story in San Francisco. Plus, I do think with their limited number of really good players, their good players are great.
Yeah.
So what I feel is this is a series that could go 6 or 7 games, and they could win the series. I'm not writing them off at all. You feel that way as well?
I feel that way. I was looking at it. They're having a strange season. It started with Draymond punching Jordan Poole. So I don't know how like tight and cohesive this particular Warriors team is, but at home they're 33-8. That's really freaking good. 33-8
Yeah.
on the road, Dad. They're like 11-30, which is hard to fathom. They could be that bipolar given where they are. But at home, I mean, they're not. I think they're going to take these 2 games and it'll be a 3-game series where they just have to win one of the games on the road. Doesn't mean they will, because again, the Kings are really good. They're playing better defense than the Warriors. I mean, they're just outplaying the Warriors. They're younger. They're running faster. I mean, they're kicking their ass, but it's close.
Yeah.
Fun series.
The Kings are younger and faster, and you could see them wearing the Warriors down as the game goes on. But I want to point out, at the beginning of the game last night, I was counting Warriors turnovers. In the first quarter, Iggy, they had 6 turnovers.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I was counted at 6. Must have been in the first 3 minutes. And it's like, they're not playing like a championship club. What's going on there?
Yeah.
That was very bad.
Yeah, they're going to have to play a whole lot better to beat this Kings team. And it felt like in the first game, they were real casual. Curry only played 37 minutes, and they took him out for the last 3 minutes of the third quarter and gave up like 11-0 run and lost. And so after the game, Kerr was really defensive about it and said, the answer is not playing Stephen Curry 40 minutes a game. He played 41 minutes in this game. So all of a sudden, they're desperate and they're scrambling, and it seemed like they were thinking, well, we got a long playoff run ahead of us. Let's pace ourselves. No, you could get eliminated by the freaking Sacramento Kings right now. You better play. Like, this is game 7 for them, game 3. They have to win game 3. Have to. It's amazing.
If they go down 3-0, again, they could could win, but it would be historic, epic.
Yeah.
And those things rarely happen. I don't like to rule out teams, and I'll tell you why. When I was younger, I was too quick on the trigger, and I looked like a schmuck. We're going to come back to that, schmuck. Enough times to realize it's prudent to say this team's in trouble, not to say they're out.
Yeah, I do not think they're out at all. But let's talk about how the game ended last night. It was fascinating. The Warriors were down 8 going into the fourth quarter. They cut the lead to 4. They get the ball. They have the ball down 4, and then Draymond Green and Sabonis get tied up, and Draymond Green stomps on his chest, starts yelling at the crowd, just totally loses it. Draymond Green, 4-time champion, potential future Hall of Famer, loses it, gets ejected, and that's the game right there.
Yeah.
What did you think of that? Yeah.
Okay. Oh, boy, I have so much to say about it.
Because real quick, it was either going to be down 4 with the ball, and then it changed to down 5 with the Kings had the ball, and Draymond's out. I mean, that's huge. So go ahead.
So he got ejected, and I think correctly so. He got ejected with 7 minutes to go, the 7 crucial minutes of the game. And maybe they wouldn't have won, but they would have had a much better shot if he were there. So I'm saying he contributed big time to the loss. He should wear a letter on his forehead, L, for loss and loser. So let's look at what happened. They went down, he and this Sabonis. Sabonis did a shitty thing. As Draymond tried to get up, he grabbed his legs. That was punk. That was a punk thing to do. And Draymond had every right to be angry, but he had no right to take the game into his own hands. I used to be in a lot of team meetings with Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh was a boxing fan like me. He understood a punch to the face, and he wanted his offensive linemen to attack. But I heard him say 100 times, if someone hits you, walk away. It's not a matter of your pride and your honor and you winning a fight. We don't want you to hurt our team. If you get into a fight, you're going to have to deal with me. I don't care what happened. Walk away. So that to me is axiomatic. It's the bottom line. So a schmuck, and a schmuck in Yiddish means a dick. It comes from German Jules. In Yiddish, it means family jewels, testicles, penis, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Schmuckler.
Yeah.
Schmuckler is a jeweler. So, when I was growing up, there was a lot of Yiddish slang in my Jewish neighborhood. You called a guy a schmuck. It was like calling him a dick. It was a bad thing to call someone. I'm saying he acted like a schmuck. The guy pulled legs. They called foul on Sabonis. That's all he needed. What he needed to do was listen to Bill Walsh and walk away. What he did, he made it worse. Instead of him being the victim, he stomped on Sabonis' chest. That was a very aggressive thing to do. It looked like a move in professional wrestling. And he really did it hard. It was intentional. So the officials, I think correctly, called a technical two on him and ejected him. And what was the upshot? First of all, he got thrown out and helped lose the game. So he didn't pay attention to Bill Walsh's axiom. He was so unnerved, he starts yelling at the crowd. Iggy, he looked like a fool. He did. He looked like a fool. And if I were Kerr, I would take him aside and say, don't ever do that shit again. You hurt our team. Now we're down 2-0. There was no excuse for it. They called the technical on this guy. Walk away. And if you have to deal with him after the season's over. That's how I feel about him.
I hear you, Dad. I hear you, and I agree with everything you said. He acted like a total schmuck. Now let's talk about Sabonis. If Green acted like a schmuck, how did Sabonis act? You called him a punk. No, you called him. They're different. You called him a punk.
Okay. Yes.
I called him a weasel. I would call him a weasel.
I like weasel.
Draymond did it in front of everyone. He didn't try to be sneaky about it. He stomped on his chest. He was angry. He was stupid. And then he was yelling to the crowd. It was stupid. A schmuck is his own worst enemy. A schmuck gets himself in trouble. A schmuck is the guy who hits second and right in front of the ref and gets in trouble. A weasel, and everyone can sympathize with a schmuck because everyone has schmucky moments. Everyone has moments where you don't have the poise you should have. A weasel's different. Weasel's an instigator. Weasel tries to act like he's innocent. Weasel tries to act like he didn't do anything wrong. And the way I saw Sabonis in that, it started early. He got boxed out by Clay on a critical possession. The Warriors are about to get the ball down 4. He gets boxed out by Clay. He grabs Clay by the back and tries to throw him down, like to draw a foul. That's dangerous. Falls to the ground without getting pushed, rolls into Draymond's knees. That's dangerous and intentional, but sneaky and weaselly. Then he grabs Draymond's leg as Draymond tries to run up the court for the fast break. Also dangerous and sneaky and weaselly. So, I agree with you that Draymond acted like a schmuck, and he cost his team. But the other one was a weasel, and I think the refs essentially sided with the weasel over the schmuck. What I would have done was say, look, flagrant one, you both are in trouble, but neither one's ejected. Let's play on, because neither one's injured, and it's a bunch of stupid bullshit. Act like grown-ups and move on. It's the playoffs. Or kick them both out. But to side with one over the other felt wrong to me.
Okay, Iggy, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Now that you phrased it, schmuck versus weasel, I like a schmuck better than a weasel. Now,
me too. Who can respect the weasel?
In terms of real weasels in the animal kingdom, I've never met a weasel, but weasels have very bad pub. They have very bad publicity.
Not good.
Not good. So
not good.
I don't know what weasels do that people don't like them, but it's bad to be a weasel.
They're sneaky. They pretend like they're innocent and they're cuddly, but really, no, they're coming. They're going to steal your stuff. You can't trust them. And the thing is, look, you could say Draymond's a schmuck, and he is. And a schmuck is a loser. Draymond's a 4-time champion. Sabonis has never won a playoff series. So right now, he's a weasel who pissed off a schmuck who's a champion, and now they got more games to go. So we'll see what happens. They're going to meet at the crossroads in 2 days, and I can't wait. 3 days.
Iggy, I love what you said. I would have given them both a flagrant 2 and kicked them both out for the game.
Fair.
That's
and say,
what
look,
I.
This is game 2. We're not going to have this shit in this series. I'm taking over right now. That's fair.
Yeah,
but to leave
I'm
one guy in, I don't like that shit.
Okay,
anyway.
we've reached an agreement here. I want to say one other thing about Sabonis that I don't like about him.
What?
How many times a game is he writhing on the court in agony? What a drama queen!
Oh God, he looked I thought he broke multiple ribs.
Right, and then all of a sudden he's in death throes, and then 10 seconds later he's up and playing. What did he go to drama school? That's part of being a weasel.
Did you see, like a minute before that happened, he ran into Draymond, fell down. They called a foul on Draymond, and the Warriors had to challenge the play, and they overturned it. Like, come on, Sabonis, that's weasel behavior. And he looks like a weasel.
He has weasel. I don't. Oh boy, we're going full weasel on Sabonis.
He's got beady eyes. He's tall. He's a big weasel. He might be a kangaroo. I don't know.
Kangaroos are nice.
They're not. No, hey, you catch the wrong kangaroo in the Outback, they will mess you up. Neil says,
but he's a weasel. Yeah.
Oh, he's definite weasel. MJ better than Kobe, better than LeBron James. Giannis will be 3 when he retires, says Neil.
Okay.
I gotta love the pecking order. It's always being debated. Ominous24 says, after a few years of this, I can finally summarize this in one sentence. Kyle makes it hard to be a fan of this team. Interesting. I think Kyle makes a really intriguing team that's very profitable to discuss. I appreciate Kyle for that. Team is very interesting.
Okay. I have a serious question for you.
Sure.
Is Kyle a schmuck?
Yes.
I have an answer.
Yes.
I'd say no. No.
Why?
No. He's borderline.
Because he's the one that beats himself at the end. He's the one.
Yeah, that's interesting.
He gets in his own way, like Draymond. Like Draymond again. You fell for it again. You knew he was baiting you, dude. I mean, it's like that's the thing with Draymond. Like everyone knows who you are. You have a reputation. Mike Brown used to coach you. Now you know it's coming. Larry Krueger on my show yesterday said the Warriors are going to lose. Draymond's going to get kicked out of the game. He freaking said it. Everyone saw it coming, and he fell for it again. That's Kyle. Like, dude, you did it again. I don't know. You got your fourth quarterback hurt.
Okay, I'm willing to go with that. I want to come back to basketball for a moment. Do you think Mike Brown has maybe said to his players, "Let's try to get Draymond injected.
Of course.
Let's piss him off"?
Of course, I would if I were him.
I'd say there's no question about it. That this guy is a loose cannon. He's going to screw himself and the team.
Yeah, and that's fine. But you're throwing yourself into his legs and grabbing his legs that's a little bit more. To me, it's like that's what trash talk is for. That's what you talk about each other's parents and siblings and stuff like that. And I don't know. Gammon Brown says mental warfare in the 90s. It was the Jordan rules. 2000s hack a Shaq. This series trolling Green. It happened game 1, game 2. It will happen in game 3, and Green hasn't even figured it out yet. Game within the game. We were just discussing it. Totally agree. And I think it's one of many ways that Mike Brown is doing a great job in this series.
Okay, I want to say one other thing.
Yes.
We know 2 things this season about Draymond Green. He sucker punched Jordan Poole, and the way the Warriors responded was not so much anger, but where did the video come from? That's what they were concerned about. And then
like they didn't leak it.
And then he stomped on some guy's chest. I wonder if he has anger management problems.
I would think he does. But again, the thing that's great about Draymond is he's a winner. So he's an enigma. Yep. He's not like a freaking loser that needs to retire. He is an enigma, and he could win the game or lose the game for you on any given night. Larry called it, though. Neil says, and how would you feel about Embiid going to Golden State? Well, it'd be great. He's the greatest center in the league. Anoop says, Commanders sold for $6 billion. Time to sell. To win 23 Super Bowl, make Denise York executive chair. Our Georgia Frontier, hire an OC and strip Kyle of play calling, says Anoop. They could. It's true. The Yorks could sell right now and get like $10 billion probably.
I don't think they're going to sell.
No. Little Lord Stewie says Debo gets his leg twisted by the Seahawks and Green gets his leg locked by the Kings. Bobo0383 says, for all his antics, but Green needs to play better too. He was reckless all game. After he got ejected, the Warriors actually tied the game late.
Good point. Good point.
All right. Final thing that's interesting. Steve Kerr against his former underling, Mike Brown.
No. You're going too fast. Where is Draymond Green a Hall of Fame basketball player? We were going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And I think we disagree. I want to say on the Warriors, there are 3 players currently who are in Hall of Fame conversation. Curry is, God knows. he defines the Hall of Fame. You could make a case that he's the greatest point guard who ever lived. Of course, you would talk about Magic and you would talk about Oscar Robertson, but he is certainly in that conversation. And his three-point shooting has changed the game. So he's a no question Hall of Famer. I would say Klay Thompson is borderline. And here's the way I define it. If he never played, would the game be different? If Curry never played, basketball wouldn't be the same. If Jordan never played, basketball would never be the same. They're Hall of Famers because they had such a defining impact on Bill Russell, Chamberlain, Jerry West. I'm not sure about Klay Thompson. He's a very good player, and boy, do I want him on my team. I'm not sure he's a Hall of Famer, but if he were to be elected one, I wouldn't have any objection. I don't think that Draymond Green is a Hall of Famer. I don't vote. I vote for baseball. I don't vote for basketball. I would not vote for him. Would you vote for him?
I would.
Why?
But do you want to make the case against it? You want me to go? I can go first. To me,
go first.
This is a dynasty. This is not a team that won 1 or 2 titles. They won 4 titles. And to properly honor them in the Hall of Fame, it's not Curry. It's not one guy. It's not 2 guys. It was a trio. They were together the entire way. Curry and Thompson played together 3 or 4 years, didn't win shit. Draymond came in and became a starter. They won immediately. I mean, this is a guy who was on a team that won the most games in regular season history, 4 titles, Defensive Player of the Year, 4 All-Stars. I mean, he's Dennis Rodman with point guard skills. He was the guy who led this team in assists on multiple championships. I understand that he only scored 8 points a game. Rodman scored 7. And if Rodman's in the Hall of Fame, I think Draymond is too. But I think it's probably going to be borderline, and a lot of people might disagree with me.
One thing about him and Rodman, in his career, Draymond Green has scored 8 points a game, which ain't no big deal. And Rodman's 7. But Rodman averaged 13 rebounds a game in his career. And Draymond, I think, is 7. You could check it. I think it's 7 rebounds a game. That's a big difference.
It is a big difference. Draymond Green's a much better offensive player. I mean, he doesn't score, but he's the point guard of the team. And I mean, he's the most unique player I've ever seen. Steph as well. But if you put Draymond Green, if you gave him to Nelly, that was the player Nelly was always missing. I mean, Nelly had offense. He had great shooters, great passers. He never had a guy who could play that small ball center and actually defend. That's Draymond. And so I think if you put him on Run TMC in the late 80s and early 90s, that team might win a championship.
Yeah, I think he's an indispensable member of a championship team. So now we're splitting hairs. I don't think he's an all-star, but I think you need him. So
yeah,
that's how
what's interesting is I actually think if you were to rank the players in this dynasty, I would put Draymond ahead of Klay.
Interesting. Yeah, I could see it, and I appreciate it, but don't call him Nelly. He's Don Nelson. We're not his friends.
Excuse me. Don Nelson, official B&A Music 88, says Kyle embodies my only competition is me, and then beats himself like he beats the Rams. New segment, says Andrew Vide. New segment on Cohn's Own Schmucks versus Weasels. I think there's something there. Okay. See, I had to be strategic. I didn't want to put myself in a situation where I was defending Draymond because you can't really defend what he did. You had to go after Sabonis.
I like it. Yeah. Is Paraga schmuck?
Weasel.
Oh, Weasel.
Weasel.
Oh, you're so much smarter than Weasel.
Okay.
No, you're right.
Okay. So the last thing with this, we're actually getting more people watching the show now that we're going. People want to hear about this series. It's an interesting series. Thanks for sticking around. Steve Kerr versus Mike Brown. This is very interesting. Going into the series, it was like, oh, Steve Kerr versus the guy who used to coach underneath him. Advantage Warriors. So far, advantage Sacramento in a big freaking way. You saw last night, 20 turnovers, a lot early. It looks like the Warriors have this offense with all this motion and passing and all this stuff, and Mike Brown was on the team and knows the plays, and he's kind of told his team, like, hey, these are the passes, and this is how you overplay everything. And Steve Kerr's like, shit, what do we do now? I think it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I agree with you. It seems for 2 games. Now remember, Kerr's won 4 championships. He's
Yes.
a really good coach.
Yes.
But it seems for these 2 games, he's outcoached Kerr. He's outthought him. But Kerr's really bright. He may come back in game 3 and outcoach Mike Brown. But I got to tell you, Mike Brown is so impressive. And, he and Kerr both have like they both are really, really good coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. I just was interesting with the Kings. I didn't watch them that much in the regular season. I'm getting to know them, and they're supposed to be like a historically great offensive team, but they're supposed to not be good on defense. They won this game last night with defense, and that to me, it's not because they have great defensive players on their team. Mike Brown had an amazing defensive game plan. He knows Steve Kerr's system, and he knows Draymond Green, and he's working on both those things. And now Steve Kerr's going to have to dig deep, and Draymond's going to have to dig deep because they're already in must-win mode right now.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Mike Brown used to be Kerr's underling.
Yeah.
Underling is the key word. Can we tell the underling story?
We might have told it before, but tell it again. I love this story.
Okay. I had written something. What was the name of the coach that went over? He went over to Sacramento. What was his name? Malone?
Mike Malone.
Mike Malone. Mike Malone. So
yeah.
I had written something in praise of him. And I've compared him to Mark Jackson when he was coach of the Warriors. So it was draft night. And Jackson was hanging around. And you and I went to say, hi, Mark. He was pissed. And he said, I don't see how you could write that about Malone. And he said, he was my underling. And I thought, what a schmuck.
What a schmucky thing to say. What a schmuck. Yeah.
Yeah, to put down the other coach to a journalist. He was my underling. And it was an insecure thing to say, Iggy, don't you think? Arrogant, insecure. So we would agree in that case he wasn't a weasel, he was a schmuck.
Total schmuck. Absolute schmuck move, yeah. See, I think I'd be a pretty good defense attorney. I'd be like, Your Honor, my client is not a schmuck. My client is a weasel. And there's a difference.
I think we could say with confidence, neither Kerr nor Mike Brown is a weasel or a schmuck. They're both straight-ahead good guys. And
I think it's also
excellent coaches.
I think you can also say that Kerr has no freaking control over Draymond Green, and Draymond Green has no freaking control over Draymond Green, and Mike Brown knows it. So the Warriors going to have to figure that one out.
Right. It's called the schmuck rule.
It's the schmuck rule.
It's the schmuck rule, and Mike Brown is taking advantage of the schmuck rule.
And that's the thing about a schmuck. You can like a schmuck, you can feel for a schmuck, but you know they're going to get taken advantage of for their inherent schmucky nature.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is
you know who takes advantage? You know who takes advantage of a schmuck? A weasel.
Well, not Mike Brown.
They're joined. They're joined. No.
Sabonis is the weasel, but Mike Brown isn't a weasel. Yeah.
No, Sabonis and Draymond, the weasel and the schmuck. Right. They're it's a combination as old as time. They're drawn to each other. Michael says Draymond got out Draymond and lost it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And it's going to keep happening until he doesn't lose it. When he was yelling at the crowd, it's like, dude, you probably should stop. You look like you're losing your mind right now.
I thought so. It's like, take a deep breath. Take some cleansing breaths. Yeah.
Just rub your ears a little bit. Dad, this was a hell of a show. I love it. Thank you. And I love you. This was a good one.
I love you, Iggy. And I have a couple of things to say in closing. You are neither a weasel nor a schmuck.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Because
I love you.
We all have our schmucky moments, but you just can't abide a weasel. You can't be friends with a weasel.
And by the way, I know weasels in the journalism profession, and you know who I mean. You know the weasels.
Oh yeah, those are the words.
Yeah,
you need to. One of the most important skills in life: weasel recognition, weasel radar, because they pretend they're not weasels. Schmucks let you know within 5 freaking minutes they're a schmuck, which is why they're a schmuck. Yeah,
but part of being a weasel is to pretend you're not a weasel.
You can hide it. You're the good guy.
Yeah.
Rodman, 5 rings, GOAT, rebounder, and defensive pest. Okay. Dad, I'll call you right now. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.